yesterday we were talking about the procedure for calculating level of service for signals, and the main item in that was finding out the delay. And up till now, the steps which we have discussed include we have discussed about getting the data from the field, data including the volume, turning volumes, and the percentage of heavy vehicles, geometric data such as number of lanes, lane widths, and if we have any turn pockets and intersection widths, signal timing data, and then we need to find out the movement groups and lane groups, okay, and their flow rates. And then we need to calculate the adjusted saturation flow rate. So we must have the base value, and we know the base value can be calculated using minimum headway, and there are recommended values given here as well for the base saturation flow rate. And then you apply all these adjustment factors. I told you some of them we will not be applying, such as work zone, pedestrians or bikes, downstream lane blockages, and spillbacks. And the reason is that they have a detailed procedure of their own. So we will not go in those details. Okay, we have this example, and they are asking us to find out the saturation flow rate, adjusted saturation flow rate for the eastbound approach, this approach, okay. And they are saying it says the data is given here, okay. Cycle length 60 seconds, protected left turn phasing 11 feet, lanes and 13 feet. Okay, so left turning lanes are 11 feet and this through and right lane is 13 feet. Now you can see here this is slightly unique in terms of that you have only one lane which is for straight and right, and then you have two lanes which are for through, which are for left. Okay, so you have two lanes which are for left, and you have one lane which is for straight and right. Okay, so this is unique, and I don't know, just for tricking us, because you see the flow rate is very high for the through as well. Okay, but still they have only one lane. Anyways, so 13 feet through and right lane. Okay, this lane is slightly wider as well. 3% heavy vehicles, 1% grade. There's parking available on the right curb with no vehicles moving in and out during the analysis period. Okay, so maybe in the peak hour, people are not parking on this side. Maybe because they feel they are getting blocked or something. Bus stop on the far side of the subject approach. Far side means the other side of the signal. Okay, downstream. 15 buses stopping per hour. Non-CBT location, no bicycles. Okay. So we have to find out the saturation flow rate, that is saturation flow rate for these lanes. Okay. Now, first of all, should we take the base values, urban location? Okay. Now we discussed about the concept of movement group and lane group yesterday. Okay, so we have 3 lanes. We have total 3 lanes. Can somebody identify the number of movement groups and lane groups in this figure? So number of movement groups are the lanes which must pass from the same phase, and the lane group was consisting of all the lanes which are having the same capacity. Okay, so how many movement groups and lane groups do we have here? Yes, go ahead. Anyone? We have total 3 lanes. So how many movement and lane groups can you make here?
Two to the left and one through and right.
This is what?
Two groups.
Two which group? Movement group or lane group? These are lane groups or movement groups?
Movement group. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the lean group? What about the lean group? So we have two movement groups, one consisting of two left turn lanes, obviously they should go together, and one with the through and right lane. What about the lane groups? How many lane groups? 1, 2, or 3? Simple, right? Should we have one lane group or 2 or 3? You cannot have more than 3, you have 3 lanes.
2 lane groups.
2 lane groups, which ones?
Left turning and the straight and right are 1, and
Yes.
the left turning is 1.
Yes, yes. Okay, I told you whenever you change any movement, then the lane group will change. So in this case, it is very simple. You have 2 lanes in which you have the same movement, and we have the third lane which is completely different movement. Okay, so 2 movement groups, 2 lane groups. There is no other way about it. Okay, so we identify the saturation flow rate or capacity on the basis of lane groups. So we have 2 lane groups. So we will find out the saturation flow rate for 2 lane groups. Then. Okay, how should I do it? Okay. If you come here, we need first of all saturation or base flow rate. We will take the base flow rate as 1900. Okay. First of all, we need S0. So I'm assuming S0 to be 1900 vehicles per hour per lane. Per lane, right? Okay. Now then I will look at the adjustment factors which I can apply. Okay, let me take this. Which adjustment factors should be applied? Okay. Okay, so the first one is adjustment factor for lane width. Okay, lane width. Okay, now I can make a table here. I need it for one left turning lane, and then I need to have one for through and right lane. Okay, so adjustment factor for lane width. Let me make another column here. Okay, the factor. So I need lane width. Okay, for the left turning lane, the lane width is given as 11 feet, for through and right 13 feet. 11 feet in this range. Okay, so the adjustment factor is 1. So for the left turning lane, it is 1. 13 feet is in this range, so 1.04. Okay, so this is 1 and this is 1.04. Okay, then the next adjustment factor is for heavy vehicles and gradient. Okay, did they mention whether it's which gradient is? It is not. They did not mention. Okay, so I will just take it as upward. Okay, I will just take it as upward. Okay, so it's 100 minus 0.78% heavy vehicles. 0.31. Okay, so I will write down the equation for you. The equation is minus 0.78 into percentage of heavy vehicles minus 0.31 the gradient. Okay, percentage of heavy vehicles given. Okay, let me put down the values directly. So it's 0.03 and the gradient is 1%. Divide by 100. I think we should put these values as h because they are dividing by 100. Okay, how much do you get?
0.974.
974, and since they did not change the percentage of heavy vehicles, obviously percentage of heavy vehicles can be the difference, because obviously grade will remain the same whether left turning or straight, the grade will remain the same. So heavy vehicles percentage is not changing, so I will take the same factor in both cases. Okay, then we have the next one as parking. Parking is present. Okay, parking is present, but number of parking maneuvers per hour are not given. Okay, there is parking present, but number of parking maneuvers are not given. Okay, so parking will be affecting the this lane, the right and through lane. Okay, so this is the equation. I don't know, even I cannot look at it properly. Let me see. Okay, so this is the equation. Okay, n minus 0.1 to 18 do this upon 3600. Okay, so the equation is n minus 0.1 minus, now no parking maneuver, so this whole term will become 0. Okay, this term is with the parking maneuver, number of parking maneuvers per hour. So there are no parking maneuvers per hour, so this whole term will become 0. Okay, so I don't have to worry about it. Divided by n. Okay, so in this case for parking, this factor will be 1 because left turning lane doesn't have any parking. Okay, if you had parking on the left hand side of the road, then it would have affected the left turning lanes as well, but it will not affect. The parking is only towards the right hand side, so only the right hand side and through lane will have the parking maneuvers. Okay, so we have one lane. Okay, so if you put n1 here, then you will get n minus 0.1. 1 minus 0.1 will be 0.9. Divide by 1, so it will remain 0.9. So this will be 0.9. Okay, next factor is bus blockage. Okay, so we have buses as well. Okay, and again the buses, obviously bus stop is only towards the right hand side of the road. Okay, so we will only consider it for the right hand side. Okay, so n minus is just 14.4. Let me write down the equation here. So n is 1. Okay, 14.4 number of buses stopping per hour. Okay, so we have 15 buses stopping per hour, so this is 15 divided by 3600, and this whole thing divided by whole thing divided by n. So n is 1, no problem. Okay. So how much is this factor?
0.94.
Okay, the next one is central business district. It's not a central business district mentioned in the question. So we just take it at 1. Okay, lane utilization. We have this table here for lane utilization. Okay, you need to consider which movement group you are talking about. We have exclusive left turn, and we have exclusive, yeah, we have only exclusive left turn, right? Because for through, it is only one lane, so the factor will be 1. The through and right is only one lane, so the factor is 1. I don't need to do any calculation for that. Okay, so lane utilization. Okay, so I have 2 exclusive left turn lanes. Okay, so the percentage of traffic in the heaviest lane will be 51.5%, and lane utilization factor will be 0.971. Okay, 0.971 for through and straight. It is 1 because only one lane. Okay, so all traffic will have to go from that lane. Okay, then factor for right turning, obviously it will be included where you have the right turning, where you have the right turning. So there's no right turning here, so it will be 1, and this one will be 1 upon ER, where ER is 1.18. So 1 upon 1.18 gives you how much?
0.847.
Okay. Then for left turning, okay, so the again 1 upon EL, so EL is 1.05, so 1.05, how much? This one will be 1. There's no left turning here. How much?
0.95.
Okay. Are we left with any other factor? We are done, right? We are done. Pedestrians, bicycles not present as well. Even if they were present, we would not have included them. So the base flow rate is 1900 for each lane, and then you multiply with all these factors. So how much flow rate are you getting?
What's the base flow rate again?
1900.
For the left turn, it's 1707.
1707. Okay. For this one.
One 1384.
884. Okay, so this was per lane, and it will remain the same for the right turning because there's only one lane, but for the left turning it will be doubled because we have 2 lanes. So 1707 means how much? 3414, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is in per lane, and the second one is for both the lanes. Okay, simple. Okay, next item you have to find out is proportion of vehicles arriving during green time. Proportion of vehicles arriving during green time. Okay, so it depends upon the uh, the spacing with the other signals. How much is the spacing between the signals? Okay, so this will determine how much is the proportion of vehicles arriving during green time. Okay, so you can see here we have G by C ratio. G means effective green time and C is the cycle length. Okay, how did we define effective green? Anyone remembers? How did we define effective green? What is effective green?
Total time minus lost time.
Not the total time, but phase time, right? Timing of the phase minus the lost time, which will give you effective green time. So G by C ratio, and this is the platoon ratio. Okay, platoon ratio, or the percentage of vehicles which are arriving during the effective green time. Okay, and this will give you the proportion of arrival during green. Okay, so we need the value of RP. For RP, we have this table. So you can see here the most important factor here is the spacing between the signals. When the spacing is less, and the progression quality is poor, then you will see most of the vehicles are arriving during red. Most of the vehicles are arriving during red time. Okay, so they have also defined where you can have this sort of a progression, where most of the vehicles are having during red time. We can have it on a coordinated two-way street where the non-peak direction is not receiving good progression. So we have two directions, right? So both directions are coordinated. Two-way coordinated means both directions are supposed to be coordinated, but one of them is not receiving good green time. One of them is not receiving green time according to its progression. So there is problem in the design of one of the directions. Both directions are supposed to be coordinated, but one of the direction is not designed properly. Then you will have, and the signal spacing is very close, so you will have poor progression quality, or most of the vehicles arriving during red time, and then you will have the platoon ratio of 0.33. So these are the values of RP. Okay, the values of RP. Okay, if the spacing is higher, then you will have less effect. Okay, the other signal, the previous signal, will have less effect. Okay, so this is slightly better than condition 1. This is slightly better than condition 1. So it's unfavorable still. Many vehicles are arriving during red time. Many vehicles are still arriving during red time, but because of the spacing, it has less effect now. So the platoon ratio is slightly better. Okay, if the spacing is very high, then there is no effect of the other signal. Then it's like vehicles are arriving randomly. It's like having vehicles arriving randomly. In that case, the factor becomes 1. So 1 means not any effect. Okay, the progression does not have any effect then. In that case, this is what it means. Then if the spacing is between this one 1600 and 3200, but the signal is coordinated where both the directions or the subject direction is receiving good progression. Okay, so this is the main difference between this one, type 2, and type 4. Okay, so in type 2 they were saying the subject direction, non-V direction, is not receiving good progression. In type 4 they are saying the subject direction is receiving good progression. Okay, because you will say that spacing is the same, why do we have a different type? So spacing is the same, but the quality of progression is better now. Okay, and in the next chapter we will see how we can design the coordination between the signals. Okay, we will see it. So in that case, the platoon ratio is better. If the spacing is less than 1600, and again you have good progression, it will be highly favorable. Then you will have like all vehicles arriving during green time. Okay, and the spacing is very close, less than 800 feet is like nothing. Less than 800 feet is like nothing. Okay, and you have in those cases you will have exceptionally favorable conditions if you are having good coordination. Okay, so it's a one-way street, but it's coordinated. Okay, and normally it is done in the central business districts. Okay, the dense network means the central business districts would have many streets and there's high traffic. Okay, and they have normally a grid sort of a arrangement. Let me show you. I showed it to you earlier as well. This sort of an arrangement. So normally in the CBD areas we keep one-way streets. Okay, in the busy areas where you have very dense population, so there's not much space, so the streets are normally one way. Okay, but because of the shops and because of commercial activities, these streets have very high volume. Okay, so we have one-way streets with high volume. Okay, and the signals are also very close to each other. Signals are also very close to each other. So if you go in the maybe in the Rifa area, or Manama or Muharrak, you will find these networks in small parts of the cities. Okay, where you have one-way streets, very close, very small, and signals are very close to each other. And yeah, somebody wants to say something. Okay, so in those cases, if you do coordination, then you can achieve a very high level of signal progression. Okay, so basically RP and the proportion of arrival during green depends upon the quality of progression or the quality of coordination which you have between the signals, and the coordination is affected by the spacing, so you have the spacing factor as well. Then you need to find out the signal phase duration as well. Duration means that the minimum and maximum of the signals. Okay, so duration is required where you have actuated signals. Obviously, pre-timed signals have only one timing, right? Pre-timed signals have only one timing. They have only one value. So if you ask me for green of this direction, I'll give you one value, and so on for the other directions as well. But if you have actuated signals, then obviously you will have minimum green and maximum green. Okay, even for the same peak hour, you will have a minimum value and the maximum value, and the signal will change between these values according to the traffic volume. But even for actuated signals, in congested conditions, it will always operate at the maximum values. Actuated signals in congested conditions always operate at the maximum values because obviously it is congested. Okay, so the signal will try its best to manage it. So the trying best means what? Go up to the maximum values. Okay, so signal duration is only required where you have actuated signals and the conditions are not congested. Okay, you can do a critical movement analysis, which we did yesterday, to find out if the signal is congested or not. Okay, and then you can decide whether you need to find out the phase duration for actuated signals or not. Okay, but for pre-timed signals, not required. Actuated signals, congested conditions, again not required. Okay. Okay, then you find out a volume capacity ratio. So for capacity, you have this equation. Okay, and is the number of lanes in the lane group. Okay, so each lane group will have its own capacity. This is how we started, right? Each lane group will have its own capacity, saturation flow rate, which we just found at the start today, and G/C ratio. Okay, so once you find it, then you will calculate the X value. X is the volume to capacity ratio. So find out the flow rate which you have and divide by the capacity which you will get from this equation. Okay, and then you find out the delay. Okay, now delay has three terms. Delay for a signal has three terms: D1 uniform delay, D2 incremental delay, and D3 is the initial Q delay. D1 is a normal delay which you will have at a signal whenever whenever vehicles stop at the signal because of the red time, because of the lost time. They have this much amount of delay no matter what is the traffic condition. So we call it uniform delay because it is supposed to happen. It is supposed to be there. Okay. There is no way you will not have uniform delay. Other two values, incremental delay and initial queue delay, are dependent upon the traffic condition. Okay. Both of these happen when you have traffic jam or the queues from one signal are not completely going in the green time. Okay, you have a queue during the red time and that queue cannot clear itself in the immediate green time. Okay, so you will have the initial queue delay, as you can see, and you will have the incremental delay. What is incremental delay? This is the extra delay caused because of additional vehicles in the queue. Okay, the extra delay which is caused because of the additional vehicles in the queue. So incremental delay is the additional delay because of the vehicles in the queue, and this is the initial queue delay. So when the signal became green, the queue was already there from the previous phase, so that queue will be cleared for first. So this is again an extra delay which is caused because of the queue. So these two values, D2 and D3. So incremental delay basically means when you have congested conditions. When you have congested conditions, one extra vehicle added to the queue will not increase the delay proportionally. Okay, for example, if you say uniform delay, let's say uniform delay is 10 seconds per vehicle. Let's say 10 seconds per vehicle. An extra vehicle is added in the congested condition. It may increase the delay from 10 to 12 seconds. Okay, one more vehicle added to the queue, it may increase the delay to 15 seconds. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when you are in congested conditions, each extra vehicle in the queue increases the delay for all the vehicles. So this is the incremental delay because of the other vehicles in the queue. Okay, this is the incremental delay because of the other vehicles in the queue. So the purest or the base delay because of the signal is basically D1. D2 and D3 happens when you have congested conditions. What is the indication of the congested condition? That vehicles cannot pass during one green phase. Okay, vehicles cannot pass during one green phase. That is the indication that you have congested conditions. Then you may have incremental delay and initial queue delay as well. But again, we will focus on the control or uniform delay. We'll focus on the uniform delay for the time. Okay, D2 and D3 are advanced topics which we are not covering right now. Once you find out the delay, you can find out the level of service. So you can see here for level of service F, they have given two conditions. Either the delay is more than 80 seconds, or V by C ratio is more than 1. So if in the last step you calculate V by C ratio and it is more than 1, you stop there. You say that level of service is F. Okay, so if V by C ratio or X value is more than 1, you don't have to do this step, the last one. Okay, you don't have to find out the delay for the level of service. Okay, because V by C ratio more than 1 automatically means level of service is F. Otherwise, find out the delay and find out the level of service. Okay, D1 is calculated in this manner. Okay, PF is a progression adjustment factor, which is calculated from here. Okay, and C is cycle length. G by C ratio I've already explained. And this in this bracket, just keep in mind we are taking minimum of 1 or X. Okay, so minimum of 1 or X and multiply by the G by C ratio. So if X, obviously what they are saying here is if X is more than 1, then you will take 1 here. This is what they are saying. If your X V by C ratio is more than 1, then you will take 1 here. Okay, so this bracket cannot have a value of more than 1. Okay, So if x is more than 1, then you will take here as 1. Now you would say that I just told you that B by C ratio is more than 1. If x is more than 1, then we don't need to find out the level of service. Level of service is f. Then why are we putting this condition over here? Yes, level of service will be 1. Level of service will be 1, but level of service will be f, yes, but you may still be required to calculate the delay. You may still be required to calculate the delay. Then you will calculate delay as d1 plus d2 plus d3. So d1 is still there, right? So you may still require, somebody may ask you, okay, I know they are congested conditions, but tell me the value of the delay. In that case, you will calculate d1 and d2 and d3, all three of them. Okay, so then you need the d1 value as well. So in that case, x can be more than 1 as well, but you will put in this bracket 1. Okay, so d1 can be calculated for congested conditions for the sake of the client. The client says, tell me the delay. Congested, not congested, tell me the delay. Okay, so in that case, you will calculate d1, d2, d3, all three of them, and then you will tell him the value of the delay, and in that case this bracket will be 1. Okay, so G by C ratio, that's simply G by C. Okay, then for progression adjustment factor, we have this long equation. Okay, P is the proportion of vehicles arriving during green time, which we already calculated. G by C ratio, we have gamma here. Okay, so gamma is what they are calling as flow ratio, and gamma is given as, again, this, basically this bracket. So gamma is this bracket basically. Okay, so there is no new term here, right? PC upon G, and that's it. Okay, so you calculate progression adjustment factor, then the control delay. Let us look at an equation, an example here. Okay, uniform delay for 1 through only lane with the following characteristics: 90 seconds of green, 40 seconds of effective green, 700 vehicles per hour, 1800 is saturation flow rate. Okay, and we have arrival type 4. Okay, now since there are no other conditions given, so I'm assuming this is the adjusted flow rate. This is the adjusted saturation flow rate. So adjusted saturation flow rate is already given. If I go back, what are the things I need? So I need adjusted flow rate, which I already have. Okay, I need this one, p value. Okay, so p value depends upon RP and G by C ratio. Let me okay, give me the G by C ratio first. How much is the G by C ratio? 40 by 90?
0.44.
0.44. Okay, then I need the p value, so it depends upon the arrival type. Arrival type is given as 4. Okay, so they already done the spacing, found out the spacing of the signals. It was in this range and it was coordinated for a two-way street. So for arrival type 4, this is 1.33. 1.33. So p value is 1.33. So what is the RP here? .33 into 0.44. How much?
0.59.
0.59. Okay. Next thing we need to find out is the volume capacity ratio. So I need to calculate the capacity. So we have one lane, N is 1, saturation flow rate 1800, G by C ratio 0.44. Okay, give me the capacity. One lane, 1800, 0.44. How much?
792.
792 vehicles per hour. Okay. Then X value, volume was given as 700 and capacity is 792. How much?
0.88.
0.88. It is less than 1, so I can proceed. I cannot say that level of service is F right now. Okay, control delay. I need first of all to calculate the progression factor. Okay, progression adjustment factor. P value is calculated here as, where is it? This was the P value, right? RP was, this is RP. Sorry. So this is RP. Calculate the P value. Okay, so first of all, I need to calculate the, let me put it over here. Okay, so P value is given 0.59, or like we calculated G by C ratio 0.44. Gamma minimum of 1 or X into G by C ratio. So X obviously is will be taken here. Okay, so X is how much? 0.88. So 0.88 into G by C ratio. How much will be that? How much will be the gamma? Do I have a gamma symbol here? .88 into 0.44. How much will be that?
0.387.
Okay, I have the symbol, but it is with the. Okay, so I'll just write gamma. Okay. Okay, how much did you say?
387.
0.387. Okay. So now you have the gamma as well. Okay. P value is given. Everything is given now. Give me the progression adjustment factor first of all, and then we'll calculate D1 as well.
Doctor, why is gamma 0.387?
Gamma is minimum of 1 or X multiplied by G by C ratio. G by C ratio is 0.44, right? And X is 0.88.
All right.
So,
all right.
0.72.
0.72. Okay, and the delay?
$16.6.
16.6. Okay, this is seconds per vehicle. Okay, delay faced on average by each vehicle in the traffic. Okay, so I'll stop here. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm going for the attendance right now. And tomorrow we will, not tomorrow, on Thursday, we'll, inshallah, start with the warrants of the signal.